to Summer Tomato Live. I am hanging out here today with Alexia Tsotsis. She's going to have to correct my pronunciation on that. And we're going to talk about carbs. So without further ado, sorry for the late start, but let's welcome Alexia.
Hey guys.
Hello.
I'm losing my voice a little bit, but hopefully it'll come back at some point. I don't usually sound like Patty from The Simpsons or Carol Bartz. I usually have a lovely voice.
It's super hot.
It's super hot. It's like, anyways.
Anyway, welcome everyone. Welcome Alexia. Can you please pronounce your last name for me? It's really hard to say.
No, you did a great job. Tsotsis. Tsotsis. I know. Tsotsis.
Awesome. So, why don't you just tell us a little bit about who you are, since I know a lot of people know you, but some people still might not.
I'm a tech reporter at TechCrunch, and before that, I was a web editor at the SF Weekly. Before that, I worked in New York at a number of jobs, including I was an art gallery assistant, and I worked at a modeling agency, and I worked in publishing as a temp. Like, I had a bunch of just stupid New York jobs. And I know, right? But in doing those jobs, I realized that a lot of the media and a lot of the fashion and a lot of the creative industries were kind of out of date and not keeping up with technology and the way I saw this stuff heading. And so I started getting more interested in startups and in disrupting like the traditional publishing model and the traditional distribution model. So I started like writing about tech and eventually made it to TechCrunch.
That is awesome. All of us here who love the interwebs commend you for that.
Thank you.
So back to where you and I met, actually, was when you were still working at SF Weekly. So
Sounds.
You actually you came out, reached out to me. So why don't you tell everybody how that went down?
I think you retweeted one of our lists. What did you retweet? You retweeted like our ice cream list or something. It was healthier than the ice cream list, but.
Was it the pronunciation of pasta?
I think so. That's probably it. We do that series where we get like an expert in the field to sit there and pronounce all the weird foods. And it must have been a pronunciation one, because I remember those were the ones that would go viral, but they weren't the silly ones like top 10 foods that look like sexual positions. They were the ones that are like actual foodie ones that would go viral. And so you retweeted one of my links because I was the @SF Weekly account. And I clicked on because it was like Summer Tomato, that's interesting. And then I clicked on her Twitter name, and it was this blog. And it was this blog about loving vegetables first and foremost, I guess. And then I read your mission statement, which was just basically anti-dieting for the sake of dieting, and it brought up the concept of a health style, which I had been struggling for, and still struggle, but I had been struggling for my entire life with eating healthily, and like weight issues and body stuff. And so I got really interested, and I wanted Darya to write for the SF Weekly, which she did after I left. But and then I got interested in like food as an experience and not as like a fight. Also,
so I remember something very. Oh, sorry.
Well, I was going to say that I remember
this
is what I was going to get into.
Yeah, I remember a few things very specifically about our first conversation. So we had a phone conversation. And first of all, everyone, I just want to reiterate the importance of retweeting people. So I've gotten every job I've ever
Yeah, please. She got a job.
I also got my boyfriend through Twitter. So I highly recommend a well-crafted retweet in terms of getting people's attention. But second, I remember I was talking to Alexia, and I was explaining sort of my philosophy on food and diet, and I remember I said something, and she stopped me mid-sentence and was like, "You mean I can eat carbs?" And I was like, yeah. I was like, wait, and she was like, really? And I said, yeah. And I was like, yeah, that could be maybe my first post or something, like 10 carbs that won't make you fat. And she was like, you're hired. And I ended
Yeah,
up
I'm like,
not writing that
please.
post for SF Weekly, but it is on Summer Tomato.
Yeah, and so what are 10 carbs? That I was shocked because when working at Elite, uh, there was the South Beach Diet was the book that most of the models read. And I remember I worked in the art department. Like I wasn't, in the beginning, I wasn't anything like important. And I remember one of the models came in, and in the art department at Elite, what you did was Photoshop models. So like if they kind of looked fat, you'd sit there and you'd Photoshop them skinny. And for someone who was curvy for most of her life, sitting there and photoshopping these already thin models thinner was insane. And so I remember one came, and you know you get influenced by it. So I remember one came in and had the book with her, and I was like, "Does that really work?" And she's like, "Yeah, it does." And so I took the book home and I read it, and I bet my boyfriend at the time, like I was like, "I bet you I could get really thin." And he's like, "I don't think you can. You're just not built thin." I'm like, "I bet you." And I did. Like, I lost 20 pounds or something not eating carbs. You're not supposed to eat carbs. You're not supposed to have coffee for 2 weeks. And I did it because I really wanted to like experience what it was like to be smaller, I guess. The society has this crazy notion of like what a woman should be. So, and I wanted to fit in the modeling and fashion industry because you go to Fashion Week and you have all the clothes are like a size 0 or a 2. So I did it. Like I got down to 0 or a 2. Um, but the stuff I was eating was just like pepperoni and eggs and not many vegetables. Like it was when you'd go on the no carb diet or on the South Beach diet, and thank God it's not like Atkins because it actually encourages whole grains, but it's really like when you go to a party and there's a food platter out, there's not going to be like quinoa. It's going to be like cheese
Right.
and and salami and maybe some old celery. And so what I did for years, I was terrified of eating bread. What I did for years would like be the person who ate 15 cubes of cheese, or like would make an omelet with like 4 eggs in the morning and just have so much protein and very little vegetables and no bread. And I wasn't even like,
So I think that's an important point is that it does work, right? Like it definitely, like for most people, especially when you first start eating low carb, since most people eat so high carb and processed carbs, which are really bad, that, you know, you go on these low carb diets and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can eat like burgers all day so long as I don't eat the bread and I can have cheese and bacon and I'll lose weight for a little while. But
yeah, they put it out like a panacea. Like this is magic. You magically, and and then it's like if you don't eat this way, you will get fat, right? And so what ends up happening is you end up like, yeah, I know. You eat one piece of bread and you will have 20 pounds on you by the next day. I'm still terrified of carbs. I'm still scared of bread. I had a piece of bread earlier. I kind of feel bad about it. But but the point of the show is how like you can kind of ease out of that mentality. Like weren't you in the no carb thing for a while?
Forever.
Like how did you forever?
I ate nothing that even resembled a carb for so long. But then what would happen was I would get starving, and I would either eat. Well, first of all, the weight loss happened for a while, and then I plateaued, and I plateaued around probably 15, no, maybe like 10 or 15 pounds more than I weigh now, and I looked better than I felt like I had, and I wasn't quite as miserable as when I was just like basically starving myself. Before that, like all I had was like Slim Fast shakes and salads all day. But over time, I just couldn't maintain it, and so I would find myself like, you know, I'd be really, really good for a couple days, and I'd be like, oh, cool, I'm skinny for a couple days, and then like the weekend would come, and I'd be good all day, and then like 11 o'clock at night, like I'd been drinking all day, or drinking all evening, and then 11 o'clock at night, everybody would go for a burrito run, and I'd be like, hell yeah, like I'm starving, and I'd just
Yeah.
like wolf down a burrito or something like that. And just like horrible, like it was this like horrible dichotomy because I couldn't, I was in a place where I couldn't sustain it, and I wasn't like exactly where I wanted to be anyway. So for me, what I started reading science, and I didn't, the South Beach kind of gives this message too, which is that whole grains are okay. But I still didn't eat them like you. And then but the science was super convincing to me that A, I should eat breakfast, and B, grains were kind of good. And so like one day, like I was just like, you know what, I'm going to start eating breakfast. And if I get really fat, like in 2 weeks, like I'll stop and I'll just not eat for a week and everything will be fine. So it was sort of an experiment, but I was really scared. But for me, when I started doing that, I ended up losing weight because I wasn't starving on
Yeah, I mean,
nights and I didn't eat burritos.
after I talked to you the first time, and it took a while, like it was between you and my boyfriend who was like, please eat carbs, like this is stupid. Like it took a while. I read your post on breakfast and I bought that muesli. And that muesli, what's it called? It's there's that specific brand of muesli that's Dorset. So that thing that's terrifying. It's just like oats and raisins and all the stuff that you'd eschew on South Beach or on Atkins. And I bought that, and I'm like, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit on it on yogurt. Like that's fine. It's like dipping your toe into carbs. And I did that, and I ended up feeling more satisfied during the day, and ended up losing weight, and just like automatically losing weight to the point where I think now I've been a little sick, so I've totally like I've gone overboard. I've eaten pizza and stupid stuff, but I'm at the way I was when I was starving on the South Beach diet at the modeling agency, and I'm not starving. Like I'm eating breads and I'm eating cereals, and I've got the Dorset muesli and I've got the cashew, and like I'll eat pizza. Remember that time we had pizza, and I'm like, is it okay to have pizza? So I mean, what is the science
Right,
behind
you
it?
asked me, you were like, what do I do?
Yeah, what do I do? Is this okay?
I was like, eat it.
I mean, for people who think that this is majorly a first world problem, if you're in ballet or modeling or fashion, or if you're on TV or in media, this stuff becomes like almost a religion for a certain segment of the population, and especially the people who have been brainwashed by the low carb diet thing. Because the problem is that they tell you, it's not that they say don't eat carbs. They tell you it's okay to eat carbs. It's great to eat cheese. It's great to eat vegetables, even though they don't emphasize the vegetables enough. Like if the South Beach book was what your diet book will be, which was like, hey, these things are tasty and they're cheap and they don't take that much preparation. Like I didn't know that you could prepare kale with garlic and salt and olive oil and it would taste good. And it would taste like something, or the cauliflower. That was the first recipe I tried of yours. The cauliflower with the curry and olive oil, like in the oven for 15 minutes. It tastes like better than any pasta I've had in my life. It's so good. And South Beach doesn't tell you that. It just says like eat cheese. Eat with these weird, stupid, fake carb noodles, which look like they're full of chemicals and don't even look like food.
That's what makes me the most mad about the Atkins diet is if you go on their website, and it's gotten a little teeny bit better, but not that much. But the first thing you see is like a zillion like products that are like pancake mix, noodles, like yeah, all this stuff, crackers, energy bars, like all this stuff that are like fake carbs. And like I was definitely eating that stuff because you, as a human, you miss the carbs when you're not eating them, and so you start buying all these weird products because they give you that feeling of having sugar and having carbs. But that was when I started eating that stuff was like, my weight was all over the place and it was really bad. And yeah, it's just like that was the craziest thing for me was that it's just so unnecessary. The food I eat now is amazing. I eat 3 meals a day, eat easily like 2,200 calories a day. Yeah, I'm still a size 2. Like it's been really a lot better, and fairly easy. So Awesome.
Yeah, when you
So
start
I was
getting,
just,
like, I started doing the bar thing also. When you start
oh,
eating
you
like
did?
the food that's just basically like an industry, like that food's like the bars and the, I don't know, waffles or the meals, like the prepackaged stuff. If that's the trap. Or when you
Right.
start getting
That's
familiar
true.
with all the sugar alcohols. Yeah.
Right. All right. So I'm going to start taking a couple questions that are up in here. So here's an interesting one. So we've both mentioned that we feel hungry on low carb. Why is that? Most people seem to say the opposite. So Alexia, why don't you answer this one first?
I think it's because you're not given a limit. Like they don't tell you the mentality is wrong. Like you don't think of it as food. You just think of it as like filler for not eating carbs. So it's like you can have as much as you want. So your hunger is automatically magnified because it's like you can have as much of this as you want. So you end up eating like I would, in my experience, 2 to 3 times as much as I would eat. Like if I had a meal that was like palak paneer or something not carby, I would eat like 1.5 to 2 times more palak paneer with no carbs than if I had like a bite of the pita or a little bit of rice, just because I wouldn't feel the stopping thing. So feeling more hungry is, I'm defining it as wanting to eat more and physically eating more.
Yeah,
Daria?
I agree. So one of the biggest issues is that there's no. It's not that you're not allowed to eat carbs; it's that there's no boundary on the meat and cheese, and it's really. I mean, calories do count. Like despite what Gary Taubes says, they're
Seriously.
you know when you're eating 3,500 calories a day because you're eating a piece of steak that big is going to be like 1,200 calories. It's really really heavy, and so that's one issue. The other thing is I actually do feel hungry when I eat low carb diets. Like my workouts suffer big time, and because I work out a lot, I work out 4 to 6 days a week. Because if I don't, I go crazy. And at first, I wasn't hungry. Like I definitely was less hungry at first than I was on like my starvation diet I was on for most of my life, but over time, I think it's your body's just. I was just missing a bunch of nutrients because I wasn't really eating. It was more like cravings. I think that's a better word for it. I don't think hunger is really a good word for it. I think cravings a better word because I really wasn't getting the nutrients that I needed, and I didn't have as much fiber as I needed, and I find that for myself personally, I just don't do well on a high protein diet. Even now, even when I eat some carbs, like if I start eating a lot of protein, I get nauseous. Like I get irritable, and everybody just reacts differently. So I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think men do a little better on higher protein, lower carb diets. A lot of women I know though sort of need some sort of carb to feel satisfied. And we really can put down some food if we don't have it.
Yeah,
I can put down
exactly.
some serious food. All right, so let me take another. This one's interesting. So I heard the body
I heard the
compensates when you
body
cut carbs
compensates.
out of the diet. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, neither do I.
Edward,
Like
can
it
you
makes
try to
its own.
clarify that?
Is he talking about ketosis? It goes in, I think
I
he
don't know.
might be
Are you
talking
talking?
about ketosis.
Could be. So that's when your body
Or,
realizes that there's no sugar in its blood, and so it starts pulling fat fat out of the fat tissue and turning it into carbohydrates or like different kind of the ketones basically, and puts it in the blood so that your body can use that for energy instead. And that's a very uncomfortable state to be in. Some people like it, but yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do
it's
that,
like
and a lot
being
of
on
people do, but
drugs or
I
something.
wouldn't
It's
personally
like
recommend it.
you get really lightheaded. Like there's a whole, it's not a natural state. Like your body will
Yeah, I concur. There's an interesting comment in the chat room here that says, my personal experience eating mostly veggies, meat, fish, nuts, fruit, so not low carb but semi-low carb, has been drastically less hunger. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wasn't eating fruit when I was low carb. Oh, we lost Alexia. That's too bad. Alexia, come back. In the meantime, I
Amazing.
will take a quick juicing question. I have tried juicing a little bit. For me, it's way too much work, and I'm not a big fan of drinking calories. Let me see if Alexia is back. There she is. No, not yet. But you know, a lot of people really like it, and if it works for you, that's great. So I mean, if it's going to help you get more vegetables than you normally eat, that's fine. Oh, she's back? I don't see her. Let me try the refresh button. Hold on, I'm trying to find Alexia. And refresh again. There she is. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Do you see me? Or no? Okay, cool.
And we're back.
Oh, the server was interrupted. It was Vocal's fault, not mine. So no, I've never done juicing for breakfast. You become afraid of juices too. Like, do you recommend juicing or?
Not particularly. Especially fruit juice. I think fruit juice can be a big problem because it takes like 7 oranges to make like 8 ounces of juice or something like that. But some people swear by like blending up kale and cucumbers, and if it works, fine. For me, it's way too much work. I eat tons of vegetables. I don't need that. And yeah, me too. I'm like not particularly fond of drinking calories. So here's a cool question. What are some good carbs, grains to eat on a gluten-free diet? So I'm not gluten-free, and I haven't been particularly good about following this. I know that obviously wheat is a problem, farro is a problem, but quinoa is not actually a grain, so that's a good one, as is rice. I think those are my 2 main ones. I don't know about oats. Anybody know about oats? I think oats are okay.
I don't know anything. Come on. I don't know anything about the gluten-free diet. I know this is so bad, but like I certainly I think that some people who are on it who I feel like it's another fad. And after going through the torture of the South Beach diet, it's like I'm so reluctant to get on another fad. Like veganism, all the stuff back in the day I would have tried. Like someone's talking about the master cleanse in the chat, and it's like if you had caught me in 2007 or 2008 with the master cleanse, I would have been on it. But at this point, I'm kind of an acolyte of you. Like anything that looks like food. I think that a bottle with maple syrup and cayenne and lemon juice is in food.
I agree, and it doesn't work, which is for me the best reason not to do it. I mean, you'll lose weight. But, I mean, it's a starvation diet. It's a starvation diet, so it only works for like a week.
Yeah.
This is an interesting question. So, are there better times than others to eat good carbs earlier in the day versus later in the day? I like to eat carbs I do like to eat my grains in the morning. I find they're very neutral on my stomach. I do eat eggs sometimes in the morning, but if I eat eggs too many days in a row, I start getting hungry really earlier in the day, which is weird. Because it should do the opposite, but not on me. But so I do like to have some carbs in the morning. I also, for me, the best time is going to depend on when I work out. So like 2 hours before I work out is ideal for me. What do you think, Alexia?
Because I started, this is just force of habit, because I started with carbs in the morning. I do this thing where I'll have like a cereal in the morning and then like slowly level off the carbs until night, and then I usually have like a salad. So I would say earlier in the day, and there's no science behind this. It's just pure psychology, which is a science, I guess. But it's like pure psychology. It's like, oh well, I'm more active earlier in the day, so I'm going to burn them off, as opposed to going to sleep like with a belly full of brownies or something, you know. And also like I feel like if you eat your last meal healthy before you go to bed, that isn't it. The trick is to wake up feeling hungry. Like I like it when I wake up feeling hungry. It's like you earn the carbs in the morning or something.
I also like it when I wake up feeling hungry. I feel like I like to eat early, and I do like to wake up feeling. If I wake up feeling hungry, I know that like I did the right thing the day before because I didn't go to bed hungry. So I always feel good about that too. I agree. And I'm always starving when I wake up. It's the first thing I do when I wake up is eat. Here's an interesting question. Do you count fiber as carbs? I do not, personally. Not as the kind of carbs that people fear. Do you?
Again, no, absolutely not. Even though, so I'll look at the nutrition label on a cereal box, and if it says like 10 grams of fiber, I'll subtract it mentally. But like I will still be like, oh, this is 40 grams of carbs. This is huge. But like it's a high fiber cereal, so it's going to keep me fuller. It's a lot of back of the napkin math in terms of how satisfying a given item of food will be. So I kind of count it and kind of don't.
So I think that's a really interesting point you just bring up, which is nutrition labels, because I feel like dieters are experts at that back of the napkin math, back of the envelope math. Like you look at the calories, you look at the serving number per container, you look at the serving size, you look at the sugar, you look at the fiber, you look at the fat, you look at the total carbs. And in my experience, the one thing I never used to look at, and now it's like pretty much the only thing I look at, is the ingredients list. So now,
that's really smart.
if I'm like trying to buy, I rarely buy products that even have labels anymore, but if I do, the first thing I do is flip around the package and look at the ingredients. And if I see evaporated cane juice, cane sugar, brown rice syrup, these are because I buy like healthy foods, like these are the sorts of like fake names for sugar that they have. I don't really buy anything with high fructose corn syrup, but I would have the same reaction to that. And then if it's in there, I look at the sugar content, and if it seems like it's going to be a lot of sugar, I don't buy it. Whereas if it's not that much sugar, I don't worry about it. And I find that's, first of all, the math is a lot easier.
It's more like English.
They only look at one number. But also, it's just I think it's a better way to approach the whole label thing. I find the labels are there to confuse you. They're not there to help you.
Did you read that somewhere, or did you just come to the conclusion that you weren't going to sit there and like count sugar alcohols and subtract and add up a bunch of calories and
I came to that conclusion recently. Sorry for interrupting you. I came to that conclusion recently. I've been meaning to write about it. I'll do it soon. But yeah, I just realized that if food is what I care about, then I should be looking at what the food is made out of to see if it's food. You know what I mean? And I don't buy anything with fake sugar in it anymore.
So if you're not, the no carb thing's a really easy rule. But if you're not gonna, wow, my voice is terrible. The no carb thing is a really easy rule. But if you're not gonna do that, like, what are some rules or what are some tips? I know that you gave me some, but we can talk about them a little bit. What are some tips that you have for people who want that kind of like, no a kind of eating style that you don't really need to think about. I think that's why the no carb diets are so popular, or any diets.
For me, I think sugar is the biggest issue. It's the hardest thing to the hardest thing to do is make fake food taste good without sugar, because sugar makes everything taste good. And what's crazy is it's like it's even in things you wouldn't think of, like like the teriyaki chicken sandwich at Subway or something like that. It's got tons of sugar in it. Salad dressings have tons of sugar in them. Salads almost everywhere, like CPK, the Thai chicken salad, like has like 1,200 calories and like 50 grams of sugar or something obscene like that. So for me, that's the clearest indication of something that's not going to sit well in my body, likely make me gain weight, and generally unlikely to be in what the food classification category. Other than that, I just really try to stick to foods with as few ingredients as possible, and I like them to be ingredients that I recognize. And I think if you just sort of go by that, don't eat giant quantities of anything. Understand that no matter, I do kind of try to avoid bread. Like I don't eat a lot of it. I definitely try to avoid sugar. I eat it maybe once a week, maybe twice if I'm splurging. But even those days, I don't eat like a ton of sugar. And so, but when you have a balanced diet, and that's such a freaking cliche, I hate saying it, but when you have a nourishing diet that is satisfying all day, like it's not just satisfying nutritionally, but also sensationally, like it's delicious, like I eat the best food ever, then the moderation in portions is really a lot easier. So it's not hard for me to, every once in a while I'll have a sandwich or something, but or like a piece of pizza, but not very often, and I don't miss it. So that would be my advice, is to just look for real ingredients in real food. And I actually have some people asking complicated questions. I wanted to ask you too, what your like biggest, like top 5. I love top 5s. Your like top 5 or even 3 if you only have 3 tips for sort of making the mental shift, and also the mental shift away from the diets and the carb counting and all that stuff, and then also practically, like as a a busy person in tech who's got responsibilities and has to eat on the go and all those things, like what are your tips to like make that all possible and still
Well, I mean, think of it as food. Like number one, like no food's a safe food. I'm not safe food, but like it's food, it's energy. Nothing's invisible. Like if you eat a whole bunch of celery, like it'll still be, I, if you eat a whole bunch of anything, it won't be good for you. So think of it in terms of if you're looking at a sandwich and it's the only thing that you've got to eat, and you won't be eating for a while, it's probably not that bad if you have one sandwich during your day, as long as you're not spending the rest of the week like eating a bunch of sandwiches. So don't don't think of it like okay, it's cheese, cool, we're cool with cheese, but rice, oh my god, evil. Like no food is evil, number one. Number two, carry around snacks with you, like pistachios or these popcorn, these truffle popcorns were really good because they were like really light and in single servings, and we had like 40 of them, and it was the best month ever. So 1, no food is inherently evil. 2, carry snacks. 3, eat breakfast. Definitely eat breakfast. Have a buddy for number 4. like if you talk to people about food, especially in San Francisco, you can bond with people over this stuff. There's so much good food out there. You don't have to be stuck like eating terrible crap because that's what your office brings in. And then five, don't be afraid to say no. Like if everyone has their birthday, like every day for an entire week in your office, you don't have to sit there and eat cupcakes. Like you have a choice. Don't feel peer pressure to like, people like to celebrate around food, but if you've got, my voice is leaving, but people love to use food as like an excuse to celebrate and like kind of like, oh, come on, have a cupcake. But if you're seriously committed to eating well and like, having a health style, then you can't really eat that cupcake every single day. It's okay every once in a while to like for a special occasion to indulge, but it better be the best cupcake you've had for like the whole year, not the thing that they bought at Safeway that's like crushed and kind of gross. That's five.
Love it. That was awesome. I totally agree with all of those. I think those are great tips. And, I actually have a story that I like to tell people about how any food can be bad. So I think it was like a year or two ago in the New York Times, there was this story about this woman who ate so much raw bok choy that she was hospitalized because it like shut down her thyroid or something like that.
Exactly.
And she was eating it because she heard that it fights osteoporosis or something, and so she like literally OD'd on a vegetable, which is hard to do, but there's just no reason to eat like that. There's no reason to eat like that. So I think I wanted to put up one more hilarious
Sweet
question.
baby, she's hilarious. I like the one about me wearing racy clothes on TechCrunch. I really like fashion. Sometimes things that are fashionable are like racy. Sorry. I really love clothes. I'm not going to give that up just because I'm a reporter.
Sorry, guys. Alexia's taken.
I am. I'm keeping my options open. Even with this voice, wow. Thanks, guys. Or maybe it's the voice. So maybe I should keep it this way. I'm so glad. Oh, it's the same guy.
I'm telling you, it's super sexy.
Voice is part of it. All right, cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Alexia. And apparently I didn't run my recording, but Vocal ran their recording. So this should be up. The recorded version should be up in a few minutes. They're really fast, and you can scan ahead to all the different questions. So thank you, everyone, for joining. If you're interested in more, check out summertomato.com, and I have a tab about live. And I also have a subscription newsletter where the people who subscribe are the ones who normally get access to the show. And that's you can subscribe at tinyletter.com/summertomato, or you can read more about it in the live tab on my website. So thank you guys, and have a lovely
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, Alexia.
That was hilarious.